Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to this live webinar on guidelines for dental practice and dental practice during the COVID-19. This live webinar with alumni is presented by Shada University in association with WOW. We have with us Dr. Monica Agarwal and Dr. Rohit Sharma from the school. Rohit Sharma from the School of Dental Sciences. I am Paresh Masade, CEO of WOW, and your host for today. We basically help institutions with the alumni relations, and we've been helping Shada University organize these webinars. And in this situation of COVID, you've been wondering about what are the safety precautions and guidelines you need to take while practicing dentistry. And that's where we are. We have with us Dr. Surpreet Kumar Kaur Bhandari. She is a Shada University alumnus from class of 2015. She's a private practitioner at Delhi Dental Studio. Welcome to this panel, ma'am. Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you.
Ma'am, over to you. You will have about 35 minutes. You can have a session. Share your screen and take the session forward. Please give a bit background about you to start with as well, ma'am.
Okay. Shall I start the presentation?
Sure, yes, certainly.
A very good afternoon, everyone. Today I am discussing the topic on guidelines for biosafety at the dental clinic during this COVID times. So I'll start my presentation with just a diagram of corona, how the coronavirus appears. See, the best way to prevent any disease is to adopt the practices that stem the virus propagations. And SARS-CoV-2, as you all know, is a severe acute respiratory syndrome of coronavirus. It has certain symptoms like sneezing, coughing, droplet inhalation, indirect contact with nasal, oral, or eye mucosa. And luckily, we all experience these symptoms inside a dental clinic. So aerosol and droplet, these are the main transmission vector inside a dental clinic. For this reason, the environment is of a great importance. The environment control is of a great importance, and prevention of microbial infections in general, following all the CDC guidelines and following all the standard protocol which we have been taught since we have started studying the videos only. Now, the possible transmission routes in dental practice, how we can incur or how we can spread it. Supposingly an infected patient, if he has certain symptoms, and via droplets, the airborne transmission can affect the vulnerable individuals inside the dental clinic. Or if we have treated a dental patient via dental practice, we can again reinfect some other patients via droplet or aerosol. Or if an infected patient has contaminated our inanimate objects or the other other than the dental chair, if I have touched anything inside a dental clinic, directly or indirectly, it will affect the dental care workers, our clinic, our assistants, and the hygienists. So there is an average incubation period of around 5 to 6 days, but there are certain evidence that this virus stays up to 14 days. That is why we say quarantine of 14 days. After that, even if the patient is asymptomatic, these symptoms might be appreciated or they might not. But study says that in the saliva, if a patient is contaminated with coronavirus, it will stay there for up to 24 days. Now I'm going to divide the presentation by following the guidelines which we have to uptake inside the clinic, combining the dental and auxiliary staff, and lastly about the patients. First, about the clinic. The standard precautions, as we all know, we need impermeable personal protective equipment with a proper goggles, face shield, a proper 3-ply mask, alcohol-based hand sanitizer, sterile surgical gloves, any tissue wipe for the nasal hygiene if required for the patient or any of the dental staff, a proper hand washing and sink for face washing and hand washing for the patient or dental staff, a proper private room for donning and doffing of the personal protective equipment, and very importantly, the waste management. You can even put visual alerts inside a clinic, like when the patient cough or sneeze, he has to cover his mouth with elbow or tissue, proper hand hygiene, and the steps for actually how to wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. This should be there inside the clinic. You can even put like washing their face or hands for at least 20 seconds before entering the dental operatory. Even like patient and healthcare workers, they should avoid touching their eyes, nose, mouth if their hands are unwashed. And also to like tie your hair, avoid wearing earrings, rings, and necklaces inside the dental clinic. Now, precautions which we have to take in the waiting room: as soon as the patient enters, first there should be an antibacterial disinfectant drug which should be there inside the waiting room. It is easily available online. You can see that later on. Chairs, if they are placed, they have to be placed at a distance of 1 meter. See, at my clinic, I don't allow the patient to sit right now. We just ask the patient to stand at a distance, and then he directly enters the dental operatory. Shield at the reception desk. Chairs should be at a distance of 1 meter from each other. The dental receptionist can put a shield at the reception desk as a preventive measure. Face mask and disposable tissues should be readily available in the waiting room for the patients. And there should be dispenser for sanitizer or equivalent to containing 70% alcohol to encourage people in the waiting room to clean their hands before entering inside the dental operatory. Now, they should have a simple tool like washing their hands and face in a sink with the liquid soap dispenser. They should have the lids which can be used by feet, so without using one's hand. And all the environment should be well ventilated. It is of much importance. And we have to try to eliminate, restrict, or control the sharing of objects. So how will you get the consent form signed? See, what I do is I take a pen, double cover it with a clinch film. As the patient signs the consent form, the outer clinch film is removed by the patient, and the second one is removed by my dental receptionist there. And after four or 5 times the pen has been used, we just discard it. And the surfaces of all the environments used by the patient has to be religiously cleaned, sanitized daily, once or more as per the requirement. Now, the dental disinfections agents which are available to wipe off the inanimate objects: 1% sodium hypochlorite, it can be freshly prepared; 7 to 9% quaternary ammonium compounds. I personally use Bacillocid. I trust this solution. And thirdly, 70% alcohol, that is the ethyl alcohol. You can even adapt this technique. It's being widely used in the hospital to mop the floors. How? It comes as a color coding bucket. It is known as the mop bucket technique. The first blue bucket, it will have a water with a detergent. Then the red bucket will have a warm water. And the third bucket will have 1% sodium hypochlorite. So you can mop first, dip it inside the first bucket, then clean it with the plain water, and then disinfect the entire floor with 1% sodium hypochlorite solution. And the mopping has to have a contact time of at least 10 minutes. Now, if there are certain chairs or desks there at the consultation room, so if you're disinfecting them, the radius should be around 1 meter, because within the 1 meter, the 100% contamination can be achieved. And from a distance, it decreases the percentage of contamination level, because there is a strong evidence that this coronavirus, it can be infectious on inanimate objects, and it can stay there up to 9 days. Now, minimizing the aerosol production, if we are having a dental chair or the consultation chair inside the dental operatory, how will you do that? First and foremost, the intraoral x-rays which we take. So how you can maintain, how you can protect it by using a triple clinch film. To clinch the intraoral x-rays or the sensor by clinching it 3 times. After taking the x-ray, the first clinch layer will be removed by the patient. The second clinch film will be removed by the assistant. And lastly, the third will be removed by the clinician ourselves. And then only it has to be put back to to the respective place where you keep your intraoral X-rays. And if while doing this, saliva is there, you have to suction it using a high vacuum suction and practice forehand dentistry. Train your personal assistant to actually help you out with this procedure. And avoid using the spray function of the three-way syringe. Avoid pressing it simultaneously and even reduce the pressure so as to avoid the splatter which might happen when you take the intraoral X-ray inside the dental clinic. Preferably use a cotton or gauze to dry the surface. Now, cleaning the clinical environment, how you have to proceed while cleaning these inanimate objects. Start from the least contaminated area, proceed towards the most contaminated area. Secondly, start at the top and then move downwards. Supposing you're cleaning the chair, start from the back headrest, then come towards the leg area. Then starting from inside and moving outside. Supposing you're cleaning a room, start from the inner surface of the room and then come outside towards the gate. And don't forget the air and water pipeline and conditioning the filters. They have to be changed regularly. And to clean the biofilm which adheres inside the water pipes, how you can do that? You can use 0.2% paracetic acid. It is the best material to sanitize the water, air pipeline, and even your filters. It can even remove the organic material which is stuck there inside the air and water pipeline. It is very effective. Now, the places which you have to have a mechanical barrier while the patient enters the clinic, this has to be completely done by the dental assistant. You have to train him like that. All the manual triggers, like the buttons which we operate with during the chair positioning, the spotlight handles, the headrest, the dental chair arms. Hello? I heard some disturbance.
Yeah, it's okay. You can
Sorry for okay. Now, what you have to cover, you can use impermeable sheets which are available, or you can even use clinch film to cover it. Like these are the dental clinch film which is easily available, or otherwise you can use this impermeable sheet, whatever is comfortable. And the same things, the surfaces like bench and auxiliary strollers, it has to be covered with the disposable or impermeable barriers. Sanitizing the equipments and the tools. Handpieces, if you're using it, it should have an anti-reflex walls. It will prevent the contamination of the entire air and water system which was fitted inside a clinic. So it should have an anti-reflex walls. If not, use a normal micromotor. All the handpieces, whether high or low rotation, they should be decontaminated by using an enzymatic detergent. See, we use ultrasonic cleaners. We get the enzymatic detergent with that. It is manufacturer designed. And this enzymatic detergent helps the adherent debris to be removed by enhancing their degradation. And the other instruments which we use, they have to be religiously washed and cleaned by using the enzymatic detergent in this ultrasonic cleaner. These are the two brands which are readily available. Now, cleaning the clinical environment. See, we have alcohol, 70% ethyl alcohol, that is a spirit. It has a medium level of disinfection. You can wipe off the inanimate objects with it. Glutaraldehyde, 2%, it has the higher level of disinfection. So it can be used on almost all the surfaces. 1% sodium hypochlorite, it has to be freshly prepared. It has a medium level of disinfection, but the disadvantage is it is slight corrosive. And 0.2% paracetic acid, as I've discussed, you can flush off the water lines with it. It also has a highest level of disinfection. So glutaraldehyde and paracetic acid are the most commonly used during COVID times. Rest, 1% sodium hypochlorite, which has to be freshly prepared, and you have to wipe that surface for about 10 minutes. Only then it will be effective. Supposingly, after you have done a treatment, the patient leaves the clinic, you have to dust first the surfaces by damp dusting using a damp cloth, and then you have to use this freshly prepared 1% sodium hypochlorite with a contact time of 10 minutes. You don't have to use the spray on already dusted surface because there will it will be not effective on any of the viruses which have actually settled down on all the other surfaces. Frequency, daily, before starting, after every procedure, and finishing all the procedures. For the delicate instruments, it is better to use alcohol-based rub spirits. For example, our sensors, our X-rays. If you're using any motors or hand pieces, they are quite delicate instruments, so you have to use spray, wipe and spray technique to rub those. Personal protective, if possible, have all them which are disposable. Impermeable gowns, they should have a plastic layer inside of a particular GSM, preferably 90 GSM. Gloves, practice using double gloves technique. Wear a clinical gloves and over it a surgical glove. 3-ply mask, goggles, they should be all disposable. Face shield, you can use it 3-4 times by using again spray, wipe and spray technique. An N95 mask, it even comes with special facial respirators. I'll discuss it further. Clothes and surgical scrubs, they have to be washed. If you're using white clothes, you can dip them in sodium hypochlorite solution. If you're using colored scrubs, then it has to be disinfected using lysoform. It is a similar kind of solution, but it does not affect the color of your clothes. And then wash them separately with water and soap. Now, which mask to wear? See, if you are just checking the patient doing consultation and you are sure that your procedure will not generate any aerosol, you can use a 3-ply mask and over it a face shield. And if you are using any procedure, if you're doing any procedure which might generate aerosol, then you have to use an N95 mask, over it your 3-ply mask along with the face shield. Face shield to be disposed of, ply mask has to be disposed of. You can only use this N95 mask maximum by 4 or 5 times, but you have to be very sure that you are storing it in a well ventilated location, and every time when you are touching it, you are wearing new gloves. The new modification which has come so that the mask can be breathable is high level respirator. It has certain disposable filter and face pieces like the one elastomeric respirator, and nowadays a powered air purifying respirator are also being used, which are being attached to the masks. You can clean these filters regularly. Now the precautions which have to be adopted by the dentist and the auxiliary staff. Changing room, private changing room available for all the staff and workers to wear the surgical gloves and clinic shoes, and another room to actually doff off all the personal protective equipments. Dedicated area for sterilization. You have to train your dental assistant to actually carry out these things like transport, cleaning, drying, packing, sterilization, storage, and even testing the quality of sterilization as per the standard guidelines and even the manufacturer's instruction. These, we have to follow the CDC guidelines for sterilizing and checking whether the sterilization has been completed properly or not. The healthcare worker, the one who assists us, if possible at a distance of 1 meter, which is very difficult for us to actually practice forehand dentistry. So this distance might get hindered. So how you have to take care of it? Routine PPE, in addition alcohol-based sanitizer, infrared thermometer, shoe cover. And what we have to practice is minimize the creation of aerosol. That can only be achieved if we are avoiding any air turbine drills and ultrasonic instruments. Reducing the chairside time and minimizing doctor to patient contact. So performing the procedure that will work well in the medium term. And later on, after we feel that yes, we can use the aerosol and we can practice normal, then only then you can recall the patient for further future improvement or any upgradation. See, you have to have a balanced approach. You have to satisfy the patient also, work there also, but it should have further future modifications which we can, supposingly if you're doing a root canal treatment, you can pack, you can do the cleaning and shaping, pack the tooth, and later on call for obturation when you feel the time is right to use irrigation and aerosols. Very importantly, how to remove the PPE. See, wearing a double gloves, as I had said, if you're removing, if first you have to start by removing the outer glove, which is the surgical glove you have used, then you have to sanitize your hands. Afterwards, you will remove the face shield, holding it from the back side, and again sanitize your hands. Still, you are wearing a clinical examination glove. Remember that. Removing the apron, see the way to remove it, folding it outwards, starting from inside. Then you are going to remove your mask, and lastly, the head cap. But always you have to wash your hands, face at the end of the process, and after that, removing the clinical gloves, and again, sanitizing your hands for at least 20 seconds. Now how to practice aerosol-free procedures. Like supposingly, if you're practicing during this time, the way the normal dental clinics we are running and following aerosol-free procedures, I'll be discussing that. We are using a clinical micromotor and a contrangle handpiece with the latch type burrs without any irrigation. This can reach up to 40,000 RPM. It will not destroy or will have a bad effect on the pulp. To prevent that, you have to give intermittent break to the patient, and you can use very little water in a syringe to cool down the tooth surface which you have treated. Then if by chance you put excess water, then it has to be removed via high vacuum suction, not the normal section attached to the dental chair. You have to use a high vacuum suction. Most importantly, you have to avoid using excess water. And rinsing and spitting in the spittoon, it has to be prohibited. Preferably the working position, if it will be 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, it will have a safe distance. You will not have a direct face-to-face contact with the patient. And if magnification, you are familiar with using dental loupes or dental microscope, it was much safer to maintain a distance between the patient and the dentist while working. And it is also advisable to reduce the air pressure, restrict the use of three-way airway syringe to avoid splatter, and use of rubber dam for restorative and endodontic treatment is mandatory. Otherwise, avoid or defer the treatment. Now, the equipment and instrumentation which we have to use inside the clinic. First, the fumigation system. This is a fumigator, a ULV fumigator, which is readily available inside the market. It uses 11% sodium hypochlorite with silver diamine. I'll discuss later, and the brands also. High vacuum extra oral suction. This is how we have been using right now inside a clinic. We are not using the one which is attached to dentist chair. In addition to it, we are using this high vacuum extra oral suction. You can even call it wax station. Advantage, it has proper filters which will clean the air inside the operatory. Third, the indoor cleaning system. It has to be well maintained, well ventilated, using exhaust fan while you're working. The dental chair water line should be equipped with anti-retraction valves. Otherwise, switch off your compressor. Keep the pressure to 0. Don't use it. Using handpieces, if you are performing an aerosol procedure, anti-retraction valves are necessary. UV light disinfection. This is also an effective technique. It hardly takes 10 minutes. After every procedure, you can switch on the UV light for about 5 to 10 minutes before doing the other patient. This is also a way to do this can also be practiced after every procedure, because the fumigation system will only work after all the procedures have been over. Now, how to deal with the patient who actually requires treatment. Supposingly, a patient comes with caries lesion. So you have to start by using selective caries removal only. Use sharp excavator, use slow speed drill, and if required, give temporary dressings, and if not, then use GIC. If you're using GIC, you have to put Vaseline and call the patient the other day for proper occlusal corrections. So it's better to use resin modified GIC so that you can correct it and do a single appointment procedure only. Otherwise, if the patient is pediatric or geriatric, so what you can do, you can use silver diamine fluoride. See how it works. You take it inside the cotton, take the silver diamine fluoride, put it inside the cavity. It will arrest the lesion there itself. The only disadvantage is it discolors the tooth. But if it's a posterior tooth, you can later on do the necessary composite restorations. But at least at this time, it will arrest the caries lesion. Or you can practice smart technique like silver modified atraumatic restorative treatment, which also uses SDF application. And if food lodgement is an issue, then you can put GIC restoration and later on correct it. Minimal invasive pulp therapy. See, if it is required to do a root canal procedure, first try to do partial pulpotomies if a traumatic exposure occurs while removing the caries. And if full pulpotomies have to be done, make sure that it is an irreversible pulpitis case. And if you're performing the entire root canal, make sure the pulp is necrotic, there is a periapical lesion. Clean, shape, and give a calcium hydroxide dressing, or even you can use MTA. The only disadvantage is it will discolor the tooth. So nowadays we use biodentine, and then you can delay the obturation. Now, if you have done a complete root canal with obturation and post-endodontic restoration, what we do is we're using mono-blocking technique to cover the entire tooth with the composite, including the cuspal surface. So cuspal coverage, so it will give a strength to the tooth surface. Or if it's badly mutilated, you give a stainless steel crown because it requires minimum tooth cutting. So you can use your micromotor without water or irrigation. Or you can even use preformed aesthetic crowns. That is the mostly used, and it provides a long-term aesthetic provision restorations. And if you have to do bonding for missing anterior teeth, see if it's necessarily, then only perform this procedure. And you can use Maryland bridge. No tooth preparation is required. You have to use composite restoration. Or you can use fiber reinforced composite bridge, the way we do splinting for teeth. Or you can even use lithium disilicate bonded bridge. In prosthodont, if you have to take any impressions, or you have already given, or you are going to give any removable dentures, what you have to do, chemical disinfection of the impression is very necessary. How you're going to do it? Certain chemical disinfection, which I am using in my clinic, available by these companies. You have to dip the impression in this, and then double pack it, and then send it to the lab. And wax films, if you're using, use spray wipe and spray technique, and then put it inside the patient mouth. If you are planning to give removable denture, at least soak the denture inside in this 1% sodium hypochlorite solution, and before putting inside the patient mouth, you can dip that RPT or complete denture with in a diluted mouthwash for 10 minutes, and then put it inside the patient mouth. And if you're already managing any old dentures which require some correction, so you have to follow the usual protocols. And if you're going to make cast and give it to the lab, so how you have to disinfect the cast? For that you need a microwave, at least 900 watt for 5 minutes. It will disinfect the gypsum based cast. You can perform aesthetic dentistry procedures like direct composite wearing, diastema closures, any class fold buildups, and even multiple teeth composite by using freehand palatal index, because it requires addition of composite. So we are not going to cut or modify the tooth surface. We are only going to add material which does not require any aerosol production. And for polishing, again, you have to use a handpiece, a contraangle handpiece, which does not require any irrigation. Now your perio procedures, do hand instrumentation only. In between, you can ask the patient to use a mouthwash and use a high vacuum suction. Don't ask the patient to spit. And if performing periodontal surgeries, follow all the conventional protocols. Avoid extensive GBR procedures or any extensive bone grafting procedures. Radiology, panoramic, as I discussed, triple clinch film technique. If preferable, use panoramic x-rays. IOPAs, if possible, you can avoid them. Otherwise, use a disposable barrier technique. In oral surgeries, if a complex case is there, section the tooth with micromotor, use chisel and mallet technique. Preferably I'll advise you to refer to a specialist. Implant dentistry, if it can be avoided, best. If not, then you can use a slow split drilling protocol without the saline or any water. Make sure the bone is soft so that it requires less. It will not require extensive preparation for the implant placement. Preferably, you can do immediate implants because it requires an atraumatic technique, and we can easily use slow speed osteotomy drills. And in orthodontics, if you have to change the wires and ligature, be very careful. You should not lacerate the gingiva or the tissues around it. Bonding, if it is required and you're using an etchant, then use a chip blower. Don't use the three-way airway syringe. Interproximal reduction, if is required, do it by manual interproximal strips which are readily available. Bonding, if it can be delayed, but you have to if it is a very necessary procedure that you have to debond it, then use slow speed micromotor to remove all the excess composite and polish. Now the precautions when leaving the clinic or arriving home: leave your bags, keys and other personal objects in a box which should be placed at your entrance of the house. And when going home, do not touch anything without washing your hand first. Take off your shoes, sanitize your mobile, preferably with ethyl alcohol. Remove your clothes and preferably dip inside sodium hypochlorite solution as I have discussed earlier. And when you're washing these clothes, maintain a temperature of the water for about, at least the temperature should be 60 degrees. Shower and wash the most exposed areas, and then rinse your mouth with 1% hydrogen peroxide for at least 1 minute, followed by gargle. Are the precautions to be adopted for the patient? Pre-treatment screening and protection. As you all know, now we are practicing appointment-based practice. That is by using telecommunication only, recording the medical history and travel history before the patient enters the clinic. Infrared thermometer and oximeter, it helps to a certain level to actually catch hold of certain symptoms. Giving shoe cover to the patient, it has to be impermeable. Minimum 30 grams of polypropylene should be there. You have to check it with the manufacturer, not the readily available which we were using earlier. And when the patient enters the clinic, request to remove all the accessories. And if they are carrying a mobile phone, ask them to turn it off and not to take the mobile phone out during the procedures. And if it's necessary for them to carry the bag, so sanitize it properly before entering the operatory. Since this virus is sensitive to oxidation and we are practicing appointment-based dentistry, ask your patient to use 1% hydrogen peroxide gargle mouthwash before coming to the clinic. And if he's using it inside the dental clinic, then don't use a spit-on. Use the sink, and the sink which is there inside the waiting room for the patient to wash their hands or wash their face. There only they can use this 1% hydrogen peroxide rinsing. Give the patient appropriate head cap, if possible a long apron with elastic sleeves, and instruct the patient to remove the shoe cover when leaving the clinic, taking care that they are not touching their sole, and removing the gown which we have given to the patient. And you can even train your dental assistant to help in this procedure to help the patient while performing this procedure, and then place all of them in the clinical waste, which is according to the color coding. Now, when the patient turn around, the actual disinfection protocol starts. So as soon as the patient leaves, the assistant will collect all the instrument immediately, rinse them in the running water to remove any organic material as per the standard protocol we follow for sterilization. All the three-way syringes, handpieces, water pipeline, the tubings, everything has to be removed or flushed by using a disinfectant for 30 to 40 seconds. As I've discussed, you can use 0.2% paracetic acid. The water containers which we attach to the clinic, we again have to wash them. Throw the solution, the solution which you were already using when the chair was attached and the procedure was being performed, for it. Disinfect it with 1% sodium hypochlorite. Again clean it, then fill again the water with 0.1% sodium hypochlorite in it, and again attach it to the dental chair. Disinfecting the dental chair and the other objects which are there when we are performing the procedure. So how will you do it? Your dental assistant will stand at least 3 feet distance from all these objects, and then he has to spray the freshly prepared 1% sodium hypochlorite. After that, let it settle down, then clean with a sterile gauze or cotton piece, again using the inner to outer approach, and then leave it to dry. Now the new cotton gauze piece, it should be used for every surface. The areas like patient sitting area, the armrest, all the dental chair extensions, including the water outlet, the suction pipe, the dental light and handle, and the hand washing area, which has a tap and a doctor tap nozzle. The clinic walls and dental chairs, which goes, everything has to be cleaned as soon as the patient leaves the clinic. Hand pieces should be cleaned, oiled, remove debris, as I discussed, using enzymatic detergent, followed by proper packing and autoclave pouches, and record has to be maintained for the same. Protocol for clinic closure. Fogging or fumigation. See, this is the most effective technique because it is no touch surface disinfection. How? You have a fresh, you already get, it is commercially available solution. It comes by a name of D125 monogen. It has 11% sodium hydrogen peroxide mixed with 0.1% silver dinitrate. 20% working solution is required depending on the area, or supposedly 1000 milliliter is required for if your chamber is around 1000 cubic feet. So it comes by manufacturer guidelines, it's written on that. And after the procedure is completed, and in case you don't have any negative pressure inside the dental operatory, you have to exit the room, close the operatory for at least half an hour so that the aerosol or droplet which have been fumigated, they get settled down. After the room is open, you can switch on the fan for aeration. You can switch on the fan, and then the wet surfaces, they can be dried and cleaned by a sterile cloth, or the clean surfaces and the other surfaces. Now there are certain few additions which we are practicing right nowadays, other than these instruments which I have told you, and all the other fumigator, UV disinfection. What new has come is negative ion generator. What it does, it helps to clean the inside air. See, fumigation will clean only the air, only all the procedures are completed. This can be used while you're performing the procedure. You switch it on, it will generate negative ions. It will combine with the positive ions of the viruses, bacteria, or any other pollutants which are there inside the clinic, and it render them inactive. It has a detergent property, so it will help to actually break down the outer portion of the allergens. So the virus becomes ineffective. You can also use aerosol restricting shield. See, this is how you can form a chamber is formed to prevent any aerosol or splatter coming, aerosol or splatter, so it can prevent the transmission. Recently, I have heard, I have not used it or seen it, NSK have developed an aerosol-free speed increasing handpieces which does not use water, and it has a speed increasing capacity, so you can perform the procedures in a short duration of time also. Lastly, this is all which I and my colleagues are using inside a clinic to perform the procedures in the dental operatory. I'm using a Sharp air purifier. I'm using a negative ion generator. I'm having a Class B autoclave. I'm also using a high vacuum suction. See, it is manufactured by Durr, and a wax station by Oricam, either of them. Rubber dam kit, it is very important. Dental loops, if you're comfortable, otherwise microscope. And these are the disinfecting solution which I'm using inside my dental clinic. Sodium hypochlorite by the name of Clorox. D125 monogen, isopropyl alcohol, Cidex, it has 2.4% glutaraldehyde or bacillocid, and I'm using 3M sanitizers, and equivalent to it is sterilium. Thank you. These are the references.
Thank you, Dr. Surpreet. It was really very in-depth of like most practical way of explaining things.
I know.
Yeah, actually. So, hi everyone. So we can actually take questions. You can use Q&A panel there to post your questions. anyone has a question, you can post in the Q&A panel there. Looks like, yeah, there's a first question. Dr. Rohit, so basically Dr. Rohit shared the same link with everyone, so we don't know the name exactly here. It shows Dr. Rohit, but like, ma'am, do you use black flow prevention valves for saliva?
Right now, I'm not using. I have a high vacuum suction installed. I bought it from Oricam. But yes, this you can do it inside your clinic by uh, talking to the concerned person.
Right, sure.
Yeah, I'm not using it, the backflow prevention valves for saliva right now. I'm using a high vacuum suction.
Sure. Audience, there's a Q&A panel there. You can use that to post questions. I think so. We should have announced that a bit earlier. Probably there's just typing a couple of minutes. Monica, ma'am, would you want to come on and then just?
I'm waiting for the question answers.
Yeah, I'm just waiting.
Can wait for another 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure. Um, Dr. Rohit, we're not sure which of you is profile. Would you probably just raise hand so that we can bring you in the panel back?
So here's. Okay.
Sure. Also in the audience, if any one of you would like to come on the and speak to her as well, that's possible. You just raise hand and I will allow you to talk. Any professors in the panel? Would you want to speak to alumnus?
If you want, I can share my email ID and you can get the PPT from me, because I've mentioned certain brand names also, which I'm using, and they're quite reliable.
Sure.
I'm using it from the past 6-7 years.
So, but this was a very practical presentation on what you're doing in your clinic right now, ma'am. It's really interesting to see that. Thank you so much. Maybe Monica, ma'am, over to you. I think there's no much questions. And yeah, ma'am, you can switch on your video, ma'am.
Thank you, Surpreet, for such a wonderful session. I've not taught you, but listening to you was such a nice experience, especially in these COVID times. You have to make the people understand what are the precautions to be taken in the clinics. And it's a nice experience talking to your alumni and the live experience you have been working on this. Thank you so much for coming here and giving your time. Keep coming to Sharda and keep sharing your experiences. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you all the participants, and thank you WAF team for such a wonderful webinar.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.